Hi, everybody. This is a podcast where real doctors discuss fake medical situations. That means that unless you're listening to this during your 80-game suspension for violating Major League Baseball's performance-enhancing substance policy, this podcast is not medical advice. If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jackson Bain.
I'm Johnny Kolasinski. You might remember me from such podcasts as Whoa, Doctor, a bad medicine podcast.
Oh, get out.
Is that done on horses?
This is Hi, Everybody, a bad medicine podcast. Every week we talk about what Hollywood gets right and wrong about medicine and how the body works. You can find this podcast online at Hi Everybody MD on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or by visiting hieverybodymd.com.
You can also call us, text us, whatever you want to do to reach us at 530-DOCTORB. That's 530-DOCTORB. The B stands for banned substances.
Oh.
Instead of baseball, the easier answer.
I was going to go with baseball.
Nope, I'm going banned substances because that's really what triggered all of this.
That's true.
With us once again is Dr. Greg Winter,
Hi, everybody.
and we are going to be discussing...
I did it right that time.
You
Yes,
did.
you did.
I'm so proud of you.
That's the first and last time I will be doing it properly.
Until next week.
Until next week. We are going to be discussing the 1989 film Major League, starring Charlie Sheen, Wesley Snipes, Tom Basinger? No.
Berenger. It's a Tom Berenger joint.
Yeah.
It is not a Charlie Sheen movie.
It is not a Wesley Snipes movie
It's more Rene Russo and Tom Berenger than anything.
because it is 1989.
Correct.
Dr. Jackson Vane, why did we choose this film to record an episode about here in America's finest city, San Diego?
Because someone decided to do no drugs, and now we're talking about baseball.
If you know me, which none of you do, but Jackson and Johnny do, I don't know anything about baseball. I had some pretty strong opinions about a certain baseball player being banned for 80 games,
Yes.
and I was spouting them to my neighbors, only to find out I was mostly wrong about my, which is good. I'm happy to be wrong.
Yeah.
I think we'll get into some of that stuff later.
Yeah.
But because we were talking about baseball so much, then we were like, hey, what's a movie we could do? And it turned out that we sort of had this vague memory that Charlie Sheen
As a character.
as a character did steroids in order to keep his pitch above 88 miles an hour, which is
To keep his baseball from going back in
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
Clearly, we're confusing many movies.
And
We
then
were at the bar.
And then we watched the whole movie. Like, where's the steroids?
None of this happened.
Nothing happened. But
Right.
there were still some interesting things that we could talk about.
Yeah, and we can also talk about where that story came from.
Yeah, can we set the stage a little bit?
Yes.
Because this was a super amazing year for movies. First of all, Madonna's "Like a Prayer" was out on the radio. I only recently learned about what that song was about, which is
Prayer.
testament
Yes.
testament to me.
It's the only thing you can do on your knees.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Correct. Only prayer.
But during 1989, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure came out. The Batman with
No,
Michael Keaton.
that was that year?
Yes, that is
My
this year.
goodness.
Oh my God. Field of Dreams, Roadhouse, The Abyss, License to Kill, which is my James Bond. That's Timothy Dalton. That's the first James Bond I ever saw. So I was
Okay.
just like, this is my James. He's amazing. He's not. Don't go back to those.
But he's great in Doctor Who.
He is
He
great.
is. He is actually good.
And what else?
It said Back to the Future.
I did say Back to
Two.
the Future 2.
Two.
Oh, Back to the Future 2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because Back to the Future was 1985.
Kickboxer and Cyborg came out. Ghostbusters 2 came out. Do you know what won Best Picture?
I don't.
Driving Miss Daisy won Best Picture, which most people disagree with.
I saw
Yeah,
that movie in the
agreed.
theaters. I was 7 years old. I have
Yeah.
no
You
idea
know how
why
many
that
times
happened.
I've seen Ghostbusters 2? 40 plus. You know
Enough.
how much I've seen Driving Miss Daisy? A half a time.
I was going to say, was it less than one? Because
Yeah.
I have still
Yeah.
not finished that movie yet.
For the
Where are they driving this lady to? This is terrible.
for the Gen Zers in the audience, it's Green Book, but with 80s
Oh,
cinematography.
and it's exactly like, oh, white people, you can feel good about stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
That's what it is. And that's
Green
what
Book,
won.
not Green Mile.
Yes.
That beat Bill and How did that beat Bill and Ted?
Rufus is going to come back, and
okay.
then Bill and Ted will win it.
That's fair.
Yes.
I should also say, I know I'm going to talk about some race stuff in here, and I know that can make some people antsy, but it's it's going to happen.
Can I say that I'm glad to have a podcast where I'm the token white guy?
Yes. I think legitimately you are.
I mean, but those are some serious movies.
Yeah.
That can't, Look Who's Talking. Also, that I was like, I can't read my handwriting.
This is also the most research I've ever seen Greg do for one of our episodes.
Correct.
Well, we rarely watch an entire movie, and
It's been a
also
while.
most of the time we were waiting for the thing that we thought was going to happen,
And it never happened.
And nobody threw baseballs back in time. No, it's very, very difficult. Like, what? When is this going to happen?
No.
They're running out of plot time.
But I think just touching on how this fact came to be, quote unquote, like Charlie Sheen apparently, we were all looking up, like Googling at the same time, like, when does Charlie Sheen actually take steroids for this movie?
And the answer is always. Always.
Right.
Yeah,
He was taking
Charlie Sheen.
steroids just to do the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he took it for 6 to 8 weeks. He was taking steroids to help himself recover?
Also,
Yeah.
Question mark?
Also, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It was
He was
pretty
taking
serious-
steroids for Honey.
He
I
was
Shrunk the
taking
Kids,
steroids
yes.
to help shrink those kids, correct. But it made, you guys know what steroids do, right? It's not like a simple, I think there was,
Steroids make everything better.
correct.
Yeah, I know what they do for me and make me realize how wonderful a cleaner I would be on meth.
Yes, it does give a lot of people
Oh,
energy to do it, but it depends on what kind of steroids too, right? So you have like your standard steroids that we give for like people with asthma or like immune conditions, and then you have anabolic steroids, and that's the steroids that are the no steroids that we hear about all the time.
There's catabolic and there's anabolic.
Okay,
Correct.
so catabolic is like albuterol, and is albuterol a steroid? I know it's an inhaler thing.
That's a beta agonist. That is
Okay.
another type of drug that causes dilation of your airways.
Your beta to be agonized.
Correct.
I should have taken more notes.
Yes. So catabolic is usually destruction. Anabolic is building.
Yeah, but I mean that's
So you're trying.
I don't know what the difference that they do in the body other than to build muscle mass. You usually are taking anabolic steroids
Correct.
along with working out and taking protein
Yeah.
and yelling at your spouse.
Yes.
And your balls shrinking.
Yes. And anabolic steroids themselves don't just make you immediately stronger. when
It's
you
not
use
a
them.
Bane drug.
Correct. You have to actually work out. And the reason why it works is because it helps you recover quicker. But it doesn't help bones heal quicker, which is in the situation in San Diego right now where Fernando Tatis broke his scaphoid bone, which is notoriously hard to heal.
It is.
And taking steroids actually can hinder healing of that bone.
But that's not why he said he took it.
No, he said he took it, and he said he took it to treat ringworm, which there's so many drugs that you can use to treat ringworm. John Madden stresses one.
This is why we sort of started talking about it. So clearly we're immediately getting derailed from this movie, but
We'll get back.
so
This is a very special episode.
Yes.
Yeah. In the apology from this particular player, he said he had taken clostebol, and that's a really close spelling to a different drug called clobetasol, which is also a steroid. It's just a different kind of steroid.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that, in the debate of all of this sort of stuff, you need to make sure you're talking about the same thing. When he released that statement, it's pretty clear to people who have medical knowledge that it doesn't make sense that he would take the medicine he said he was taking to clear up a skin condition. But if he had been mistaken and just mistyped it and he meant to say clobetasol, that is a medicine you take for skin issues and rashes. And
Not for ringworm, though.
not for ringworm, but ringworm is one of those things where people can self-diagnose. They have a rash, they call it ringworm. It just looks like a rash. It's like scaly and red.
So ringworm is like a fungal rash.
Yeah, it is a fungal.
It's also related to jock itch and athlete's foot.
Right. But also, people do get prescribed that. They get prescribed it incorrectly.
Correct.
But they do get prescribed it, and you put it on, and it helps in the sense
It
that
helps
it helps
with
the redness, but it
And
doesn't.
the itchiness.
Right. So it doesn't kill the fungal infection that you have, but it makes your skin feel better.
Yeah.
And so, like, it is a thing that people could use for ringworm, except for the thing he said and the thing he tested positive for is not that.
Also, I'm going to add, you don't really want to use a lot of steroid creams on ringworm because it actually suppresses your immune system, so you can't really fight it off. So it's a temporary fix for the inflammation there, but you can potentially make it worse on the rebound.
In general, any cream you're putting on for some sort of healing, if it's like neomycin or whatever other branded product, if it's not getting better in 1 or 2 days, you should stop using it.
Yeah.
Because that means you're not getting to the root cause of the issue. Most of the time, people end up on those things chronically, and long-term use of those topical steroids actually thin out your skin. They mess with the collagen, so it makes your skin not connected
Makes
to
it
the way that it's
leaky.
supposed to do. Yeah. So you can cause a lot. You can do a lot of damage to yourself
And your career.
Correct. Yeah.
But also, all of that is to say that that's talking about clobetasol,
Not close to ball.
right. And so I was talking to some of my neighbors who are huge Padres fans, and I was really getting behind this particular player because it's just an honest mistake that you could potentially make, especially knowing that he's a young guy. And young guys can get rashes in places, and they may not be forthcoming about why or how they got it.
It's
and
really hard to get history
it's
out of younger guys. Yeah.
over-the-counter medication. And so, like, that's a thing where I'm like, hey, this story is totally believable, but then also...
But then
that's
you
not
found
what
out what he
tested.
actually tested
Yeah.
for was close to ball.
And close to ball itself does have dermatological uses for people with low testosterone.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a different situation. And so as we were kind of going back and forth in the bar, I was like, oh crap, I got to text my neighbors. 'Cause I realized I had basically just spouted a bunch of stuff that was not true.
And I mean, public health comes from, unfortunately,
Word of mouth.
word of mouth,
for
people
sure.
people that are trusted. You want to make sure.
And podcasts.
And podcasts.
Nobody trusts us.
No. But close to ball is a testosterone derivative. It actually shuts down conversion of the pathway going to estrogen, but it also kind of makes you have more DHT, which is like it's a precursor to more testosterone. So you have more of that. So if you have more precursor to make testosterone, eventually it'll kind of fill up and go down the pathway to make more testosterone.
Yeah, one of the ways you keep things in your body is by stopping the inhibitors, and the other thing is by stopping the uptake. So
Yeah.
it's like you just have more of it hanging around, and then you build more muscle mass.
And the problem is if you have exogenous or outside sources of testosterone, your body goes, why do I need to make more testosterone? So that's why your balls shrink.
Because we're getting the good store-bought brand. Let's stop making it.
Yeah. Why the body goes, why am I wasting resources to create testosterone when it's already readily available? It's a use it or lose it kind of situation where if your body goes, I have plenty, why do I need to create the hormone to stimulate making more testosterone?
Yep.
So it just shuts that down. So your balls shrink.
This is why Jackson does better on tests than I do.
Wrong. I'm a horrible test taker, but I'm great at explaining stuff in very short, simple ways so my brain can understand it myself. I mean, my brother-in-law is an endocrinologist, so he knows way more than I do about this stuff. I'm not good at pathways. Like, that was my least favorite thing in medical school.
Thankfully, you never get asked about it again after those tests.
Oh,
are
God,
over.
no. Yeah. I just go, me ER doctor, me dumb, but here's some meds. So it helps a lot.
Follow up with your endocrinologist.
Now you don't die, so you can follow up with my brother-in-law.
Yep. So please see somebody else. But that's like the whole reason why we talked about this movie. There was just this whole like performance enhancing drug thing. It's one of those, like, you should really know what you're putting into, especially if you're getting paid lots of money.
Yeah, you can pay someone to tell you what you're putting into your body.
Correct. Usually your doctor should be the one who does it.
I mean, and it also is very weird as a family medicine doctor. Part of that job is knowing that certain populations are not going to be forthcoming about certain things.
Yes.
And so he is
23.
within the population of people that isn't going to be honest about certain stuff. And that's why I was like 80 games, this is bullshit. And then it turns out 80 games is a pretty standard first time offense suspension.
Yeah.
So again, I was upset about a thing that I shouldn't have been upset about.
I will say, like, kind of harping or going back to the whole, this is a population to get, like, hard to get information out of. You trust nobody at this point.
This is like the actual house situation of
Correct.
patients lie.
We always tell people you trust but verify. That's why we do confirmatory tests. Like, I'll get a urine pregnancy test. I'll get a urine drug screen. Like, everyone goes like, oh, I haven't done drugs in a long time. Like, well, what's a long time? Oh,
An
you
hour.
know,
Yeah. Like,
Since
what's
I
a
got
long
here.
time for you?
for you, a day might be a long time for you, but for normies, it's not.
Yeah.
So that's why we get drug screens. And then when it pops positive, they're like, oh my God, how did that happen?
I mean, I did those drugs today, but how did that
But I
happen?
peed.
Right.
How many drinks did you have
today?
today? Oh, just one or two.
Yeah.
And then the blood alcohol comes back 340, and you're like, just one or two bottles, probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the whole kind of tangent we went on. Speaking of substances, I was very surprised in this movie how many people were dipping.
There was a lot of dipping. There's a lot of chew. There's a lot of bulging cheeks.
It
and
was before
mouths.
Big League Chew.
And it was before like sunflower seeds.
Yeah.
Now you don't see players dipping at all.
There
Yeah.
are still some.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, but I think the audacity of a gum company going, you know what? I'm gonna make a candy for kids, but I'm gonna cut up some bubble gum and put it in a sack and then give it to kids to like.
I'm
stuff
gonna
them
sell
cheeks.
my bubblegum remnants
Yes.
Get them
as dip.
Get them while they're young.
Yeah.
Put a sugar lipper in.
I
See
mean,
what
we used to have
happens.
candy cigarettes, right? Like
Yeah.
you blow on them and the smoke comes out.
They were delicious.
But dip is bad, and I don't think. I mean, I still see people like. I remember when I was in fellowship, people were still using it sometimes in the emergency department,
Yeah.
so they didn't have to
Like-
go and take a smoke break.
Like doctors?
Not doctors, but
Yes. Also doctors.
But-
I mean, just people who are nicotine users use nicotine. So
they
that gum patch, or smoke breaks.
yeah.
And if you don't want to do that, then you do something else. So there's the weird, clear 7-Eleven cup that's full of just gross spit water that's
Yep.
sitting in the ER.
Very, very gross
Yeah.
and very upsetting.
I think there's the idea that dip is better for you than smoking because of the fact that it's not inhaled, tar, etc., going into your lungs.
I mean, you still have vasoconstriction from nicotine, so it's gonna like cut off blood supply. It's also still a carcinogenic drug. So
It's just bad in different ways. And a lot of those things are bad because of what they touch. Smoking gets to your lungs. Smoking leads to lung cancer. Dip is in your mouth. It leads to face, head, and neck cancer.
and the gums like erode and it smells.
And there is something that's hard. When I see patients that have head and neck cancer, it sort of makes me understand that some of those classic monster ideas came at a certain time period where that stuff was just prevalently used, because those consequences were the same. Those people were walking around. You're looking at literal monsters. And I mean, like, that's a harsh way to say it. But if someone's entire face no longer looks human, then
Like zombies.
I mean, it's not even zombies came way later. But like, I mean, like the Invisible Man, somebody just wrapped up, or like Frankenstein, where just somebody doesn't look like, there is the shape of a person that is no longer a human being because their face is
Hunchback?
distorted. Look, when you see it, you'll understand, like, oh, this is a monster that is
The
walking
lepers in
around.
Ben-Hur?
Yes, also those. That may sound really harsh, but when you lose your facial identity, that's a thing that I've seen in hospice a lot. Like, those are the patients that have a really tough time because suddenly they don't recognize themselves anymore. Their brain is still there, but their face is not. And I think that really
It hits home for a lot.
that would mess with a lot of people.
Yeah. And it's kind of gross.
I mean, it is gross, but yeah, I think that's part of why you don't see chew as much.
Yeah.
There are some consequences. And I mean, since tobacco's been around, they've been marketing a safer version of it. But in truth,
Well, they have the
there is-
packs too, right? The snooze, like the
Yeah.
ones that are in like little pouches that people tuck in their cheeks. That's another one. Same thing.
Yeah,
You just don't chew it.
We're just gonna make it bougier.
It is.
like
It is
Virginia
bougie.
Slim.
Yeah, or vaping.
It's all the same.
Virginia Slims especially. What do you want to smoke? Anything slim.
Nice Simpsons reference.
I mean, I gotta sneak some in occasionally.
Yeah. Back to baseball.
Dipping is a big part of this sport.
It was in the 90s especially, like to the point that they called it Big League Chew.
I mean, so is
It's
steroids.
still called Big League Chew.
Yeah.
Steroids are also big in the 90s too. Never forget.
Big League Injection.
Yeah.
But so, like, as far as injuries in the movie, because I don't think we've actually discussed the medical aspects of it. One of the big things that we saw was Tom Berenger.
Yep.
Yeah, Tom Berenger. His character was out of the major leagues for a while because he blew out both his knees? ? And then managed to come back. That's actually like a realistic.
Yeah.
You can recover situation. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on like what you did to those knees to blow them out. Like how many ligaments how many cruciate ligaments did you tear?
But like, blowing out your knees doesn't mean anything, right?
No.
Like, if you twist your knee a little bit, you might say to your friends, like, oh, I blew out my knee.
And I hear that constantly. Like it's football season. Like kids are going back to school and having football games, and I constantly hear I blew out my knee,
Yeah.
which is like their code of
Just means
saying
my knee hurts.
my knee hurts, and then it swells up really big, and like, oh, I think I tore all my ligaments, and I go, that's check.
So for people that are listening to this semi-baseball episode. The catcher squats a lot.
Yeah.
And so that can just stress out your knee. It doesn't even necessarily, like, you might not have even damaged things other than an overuse injury because you're just squatting. And so that's something that may lead to you having to take time off. And in a competitive job, that may mean that, you know, you're not making the cut anymore.
No. And I think when he said blowing out, he's not going to be able to run because he probably is, maybe has like a bursitis in there, which is just like the pocket of fluid that can swell up. He could have like meniscal like chips and tears and whatnot. So he'll have floating bits of cartilage in his kneecap, which can also affect how he runs. There's so many other things too.
He could be 71 years old or just look that way because it's the 80s.
That's another thing about
Good
baseball
Lord.
in this era. Everyone
was
is really
old. So old.
Thank you. No more leaded gasoline.
I would say that like this
yeah.
movie made me feel like I could play baseball in the major leagues. I wouldn't be a rookie, but I could play.
But that one pitcher who was like at least 80 years old.
He was
He had like Robin Williams level like body hair too on top of it. He was a hairy dude. And it was like scary.
Also, let's be fair, for the sake of the movie, none of these were supposed to be players in their prime. We either had Charlie Sheen, who was like 19 years old
Out
at the
from
time
jail.
and still looked older than me. But the but overall, they weren't supposed to be players at their prime
That's
because
true.
they were supposed to be the worst team in the league, fighting for the bottom.
Yeah, they're recruiting them to lose the championship so they can move the team to Florida, which is a tale as old as time, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Wasn't that the Rookie of the Year? No, it wasn't Rookie of the Year. No,
Major
they
League.
wanted to sell him to New York. That's right.
Yeah.
And why would you ever leave Chicago?
Here I am.
I know. Here
Here
you
we
both
are. Here we are, both in San Diego, as I'm wearing a Chicago shirt right now. I want to like bring up to like Vaughn, like Charlie Sheen's character's like pitching woes were all related to his vision, and not because he was unable to grip the ball correctly to throw it.
I mean, but his main thing was that he just didn't throw where it needed to go.
Yeah, but a lot of the times those throws were so wild because it almost seemed like a grip issue. Those are like the kind of throws that you would see someone who didn't have enough sticky stuff on their fingers and it would just fly wild.
Like he didn't have Vagisil.
Correct. Oh my God. Yes.
The various different topical things that you could put on the ball was one of the running jokes in the movie. For those who haven't watched Major League since 1989.
Is this a movie people should watch? I can't.
It's the midsummer of baseball.
I really enjoyed watching it. But also, I watched this when I was 8.
Yeah.
So
I know from your notes that we are going to discuss some of the problematic aspects of this movie, which are all of them.
We'll see if they
We'll
come
see
up
if it comes up
organically.
All of the
naturally or
aspects
not. Yeah.
are problematic.
I mean, there is one part that I do want to bring up that will be problematic in a little bit.
I don't think that, like, compared to... I think that comedy movies have changed significantly since the 80s and 90s. And I don't think that this is the premier... Like, oh, if you want to watch what an amazing 80s comedy movie is, watch Major League.
This is just like
it's fun and fine.
It's a casual watch.
I also think if you are from this era, this movie's not going to bother you, even if you are a generally understanding person of why Washington's football team has a different name right now.
Why Cleveland's baseball team
Oh, that's
has a
right.
different...
We did watch a baseball.
Yeah, we
Yes.
watched we watched
But
a
it's
movie
like-
featuring the Cleveland Guardians, but
It's just like this is a movie from its time, and although it's offensive, it's like it's fine.
I also think that it was trying to push the envelope, but it was
Right,
trying
it was
to
trying
be
to be like
offensive.
an
It just
edgy comedy.
it wasn't as good at being
And that's
offensive.
actually,
as
that's one of the things that made, like, as teams have kind of slowly come around to acknowledging that maybe having a red-faced Indian as your mascot is not the way to move forward. It's like people are like, oh, we got to stick to tradition and blah blah blah, and you see, like, by having something that's so egregious in the forefront, it leads to so many things kind of on the back end. So like when they're doing the radio interview and they talk about tribe talk, or they talk about warriors or braves, or like everything has this subtle reminder.
he hit it off the reservation,
Right. Like it's like little things like that where like, no, that's like, why is this? Why are we using a group of people as a mascot? Like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm for changing those mascots.
Yeah.
Am I many years too late now? And it's been a while since I watched sports.
This is the first year they've been
this
the
is
Guardians.
first year they've
Okay.
been the Guardians.
Which can
Then I will stand on myself.
it is their first year as the Guardians, and I think it's technically going to be the second year they are it's the first year they're going to be the Commanders in Washington.
Yes, because they were Washington football
They should have
team.
stayed Washington football team.
That
That's
was
amazing.
fantastic.
Let's
That's
go-
a great name.
'cause-
We are Washington.
Because
That's
how are
it.
you going to root for the Washington Commanders now? Let's go commies.
Let's go. Clap, 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 clap.
I don't know if they looked into that.
No, they often don't think about
No.
things like that.
No.
Much like when San Diego clearly voted for Footy McFootface as our soccer team, and then they were like, "Oh, we don't want no, that's what everyone wants. Make it your soccer team."
Or at least the mascot.
Yes, at least make your mascot a big foot. That's amazing.
I think someone did walk around as a Bigfoot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Stanford does that. They've got the Stanford tree, and they just make the tree more and more ridiculous every year.
Technically, Stanford's
the Cardinal. Technically,
actually,
they are Stanford Cardinals.
they are actually a color.
Yes.
That is their mascot.
Yeah.
It is a color,
All right, that's fine.
which is really stupid.
This is the tangentiest and still actually on topic and something I'm not going to have to edit 45 minutes out of that
there's
we've
a
ever
little.
been. I'm loving this.
Well, yeah. But going back to the pitching, there's no way just changing your vision is going to automatically change your control of the ball.
So if I grow another eye tomorrow, I'm not all of a sudden going to be great at darts.
Correct. But yeah, you're not going to automatically have great grip control and then really chuck the ball. I mean, your aim will be better, but I think the pitches that he was trying to do, like curveballs and all that stuff, won't be affected by his vision as much as the fastball that goes straight down the middle that he's trying to get pinpoint.
Question then, was this really a movie about self-discovery?
Was it a movie about anything?
I don't.
Because he said, "Oh no, I'm only going to do fastballs."
That's true. But that's kind of why I guess when he was doing the little finger bings,
I think it's a movie about effective trash talk and
it is very much the precursor to basketball. Yes.
and visiting the optometrist.
Yes.
One of the things I did kind of pick, I mean, because there wasn't a lot of medical stuff in this.
No.
But one of the things that we make fun of a lot is when people are just saying medical stuff. And so, like, a thing I did appreciate was the fans in the outfield who were just talking and, like, saying things about the game, but also, like, just nonsense. Just, like, fan talk about nothing that's happening. And then there's a couple times in the game where there's players talking to each other. And, like, clearly in the script, somebody wrote baseball jargon. And they're saying words, and they are baseball related. They mean nothing. And I think that happens a lot on medical shows where, like, you're overhearing the people in the background. And it's just like, run the EKG and check the.
Yeah.
Make sure you put
They
the
definitely
physical
drew baseball words out of a bag
Right.
and then just threw it and just saw what stuck. And they're like, that's it.
Sounds good. That's the sentence.
Jackson, I want you to just tell one of your residents this week to recalibrate the main deflector and see what happens.
Right.
I can't wait. They're going to legitimately say, like, what is wrong with you? Did you sleep last
Just start
night?
asking for hyposprays.
I think I have, like... The problem is I'm not working with, like, brand new doctors. It's, like, legitimately seasoned residents that know when I'm talking out of my butt. I was going to say, there was one injury scene that I remembered from this movie that I wrote down. It's when that hairy pitcher man who's super, like, religious drank Jobu's shot. And then he gets whaled in the back of the head with a baseball bat.
I mean, it was bad luck to drink his shot.
Yeah.
It's bad mojo.
But it's like one of those, I feel like if you got hit by a baseball bat flying through the air in the back of your head.
I want you to just, what's the guy's name again?
Which one?
Mojo?
Jobu.
Describe Jobu to me.
Racism?
Like,
Yes.
if you could sum it up. What is the guy who practices a strange religion? What is his little idol that he prays to? He looks like a troll doll.
He looks like a troll doll.
He looks like a caricature of a black person with really string. He looks like a
He looks like
Pekingese. That's what he looks like.
Yeah.
Just like very black caricature. Also, this guy is clearly
Cuban.
he's a weirdo because
he's supposed to be Cuban.
He's not praying to the Christian God, which they all pray to before a game. But I mean, I'm happy with the fact that when that God gets disrespected, the guy gets beamed in the back of the head. So
Pretty hard.
There's a balance.
Win
there.
for equality.
Right.
Yeah. But he got beamed pretty hard.
He did get beamed hard, but also he's a jerk.
Yeah. But injury-wise, what do you guys think of that?
I think that it was just a quick recovery and done.
I mean, but you can take a glancing blow to the head and
Yeah.
be okay. It really depends on the distance from where that guy.
It looked like he was on like the first baseline,
Yeah. I mean,
and he
it's
got
probably
wailed.
okay.
I mean, I see fans baseball bats go into the crowd occasionally. I learned that if you ever catch a baseball bat, you cannot sit in the seat.
Oh
anymore.
yeah, they don't.
You
are not
either
allowed to.
you either give the baseball bat back
Or you
or you leave the game
Yeah,
with the baseball bat.
because
because
Technically,
now
it's a
you have a
weapon.
weapon.
Correct.
oh,
So
can you get it back after? Can you
no,
check it?
No, you either give it up and watch the rest of the game, or you take home a gift.
The correct answer is
You take home a gift.
Yeah.
I've been
And
trying
you
to-
buy another ticket off
Yeah.
somebody on the street.
You hope that it's like late into the game and it's a
Yeah,
blowout.
exactly.
And you
or,
just go,
or you pretend like you keep dropping it when they ask you for it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'll give it to you in
Yeah.
a second.
Give somebody 20
that
bucks
actually
to go
happened
home.
at the last game I was at. Like the lady caught the baseball bat, and then you see the guards come down. Everyone's like, "Keep it, keep it," and she's like walking out, holding the bat, like swinging it around. Like,
I mean, that's exactly why.
poor move, woman.
Yeah.
but also congratulations on your bat.
Yeah.
You have a souvenir you'll never
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
Also, you have, as an adult, you have almost no use for a baseball bat.
No.
Like, even if you're on a softball team, because you want a softball bat.
Yeah. But
Or
now,
a
you,
zapper.
but you have a free gift. That's probably worth more than the ticket itself.
And also, you're probably on TV. You can probably get a video of you at least touching the bat briefly before they cut away to something else.
No, they really focus on that lady walking up those stairs.
Sort of the only time they do address injuries in the game, and this isn't just an injury podcast, but they do address injuries because the players don't have any of the stuff that they use post-game to kind of unwind. And aside from medication, in order to keep down inflammation.
Like steroid shots.
Right, aside
Yeah.
from steroids or like ibuprofen or other things, one of the things that your body responds to is just changes in temperature. That's why you twist your ankle, you twist your wrist, you put ice on it. That keeps down inflammation, which can keep down secondary injury. There is something to be said for the benefit of inflammation, which is kind of helps immobilize an affected joint.
Yeah.
But like we can do that better with technology. So if you can keep that inflammation from causing secondary damage, be it cutting off blood supply or nerve damage, you can speed up long-term healing. I think that's why players will, they've been using their bodies hard for hours and hours, then they get in that super ice tub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law is a CrossFit athlete, and she has an ice bath.
It's weird. I haven't heard you say that at all. I mean, feels like the first rule
That's
of
never come up.
CrossFit is
You got to talk about.
you must
Well,
talk
here's the thing.
about CrossFit.
He's not the one doing CrossFit. The
Oh.
sister-in-law is. I did write the note that you did. You're like, gasoline whirlpool is a bad idea.
Yeah.
I was working up to that. If there is any medical advice in this podcast that I will stand behind, it is no internal combustion engines in a closed room in the basement.
Or exposed propellers.
Yeah. Because essentially what they did was they attached a speedboat
An outboard motor.
Yeah. To a tub?
And made a jacuzzi.
Which, will it work? Yes. Will you have feet? No.
Maybe.
Because you might get
You
two.
might have feet.
You,
Most of feet?
but you're gonna relax real good, and you're just gonna slide them toesies right towards.
Yeah, that's true. If it's doing what it's supposed to do, you're gonna have no toes.
Yeah, you're gonna
And then you'll relax because of blood loss.
That's
the big relax for sure.
big league relax.
I don't know what else.
I had one more thing that I want to bring up
Oh,
that you guys talked about, which was as we
The
talked
stepping
about Lou Brown, who's the manager.
Oh,
And we brought up his very gruff, I am a baseball manager voice.
it's more like I smoked a lot of voice.
I smoked a lot voice. And you talked about what was it? The pack
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 year.
pack year.
Yes.
So it was developed as a way to stratify the risk of how much somebody smoked. And so what does that really mean? That's like saying you have a patient that comes in and tells you that they've smoked. Like how do you put that in a way that you can relate to other patients and then maybe see if there's a correlation or something else that you can do down the line as we get more information. So the unit of measurement is a pack year. What a pack year means is I smoke a pack a day every day, and I've done that for a year. So that would be somebody who has a 1 pack year history. If someone who is 73 tells you that they started smoking at the age of 3 and they've been smoking a pack a year for
A pack a day.
70
I'm
years.
sorry, a pack a day for those 70 years, they would have a 70 pack year history. But if somebody
But they were
smoked,
Slims.
Yeah.
but if somebody smoked a half a pack a day for those 70 years, then they would have a 35 pack year history. Yeah, that's right. I did that math off the top of my head.
Good for
Proud
you.
of you.
Jackson was giving me that side eye. He thought I was going to mess it up.
Don't look at me. I don't do math.
Don't look at me. I don't do side eye.
So that's how pack year works. So basically,
Number of packs smoked a day times the number of years you've been smoking.
correct. That is what it is.
I've
And
never
also,
used it.
I mean, in family medicine, there's some risk stratification to that, but it isn't very useful. There are people that have smoked a long time and they have no consequence. But also, most people that smoke a lot, they have some consequence, either emphysema or obstructive pulmonary disease or
Drinking Zima.
or some form of cancer. And also, smoking isn't just limited to lung cancer. The second biggest one is bladder cancer. And that's a thing that people, I think, maybe don't realize.
Because you're skipping restroom breaks to go outside and smoke.
No, because of the filtration of all the crap that's in
Oh, I thought it was because times were getting tough. And
And
you
so
got to
people-
smoke down there.
Tom's like, I'm having trouble breathing. I know where I've got
I
an
know where I
extra
can.
hole.
Yeah.
But people who smoke a lot will tell you, like, they can smell it in their urine. And like, that's gross. It's not.
So their urine smells like Las Vegas.
Yes, their urine smell. Well, it doesn't.
Sorry,
That's
the
like
casino,
cyclical.
the casinos of Las
It doesn't
Vegas.
smell
Correct.
like stale urine. It smells like smoke, which is confusing.
Yeah. Am I inside or outside the casino?
Right.
Urine smells like Las Vegas or smells like urine. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh no,
It's the chicken or the egg
I've
thing.
gone and made myself cross.
Can't do that. So that was my last question. Well, that was almost my last question.
I don't have anything.
Oh, okay.
but-
So the last kind of thing that I saw in there, part of the plot points in this is that in order for Charlie Sheen's character to kind of get his mojo, he ends up sleeping with the wife of the guy who was trying to throw the games for them earlier. And there's a point where it seems like there's going to be a confrontation, but there isn't. But then after they, spoiler alert, win the big game and everything turns out okay, then the guy walks up and punches him in the face. But also, he doesn't punch him in the face and say anything. He just punches him in the face and then hugs him.
Yeah.
That's assault, brother.
And I think all of us had something to say about it. Mine was that male friendships are hard.
This was absolutely a 80s toxic masculinity and racism film.
It was, but I also enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was.
And
good.
it was delightful.
It's an enjoyable way to spend the afternoon. Whether or not the second or the third movie will be good, it probably won't be.
The second one is fun because it's like them hitting their stride and they're just a badass team.
Is that the one where Charlie Sheen actually does steroids in the movie?
No, that doesn't exist. That's
Why
gonna
did we-
That's incorrect. Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Steroid uses Sheen in this
He
movie.
gave him his Sheen.
Charlie Sheen used steroids to prep for this
Yes.
role and in the movie because by throwing,
What,
you know,
100 pitches or something?
150 pitches in a day, did you say?
which is a decent amount of pitches.
That's what a big league starter does.
right, but also Charlie Sheen doesn't throw 100 miles an hour. You can throw 100 like BS
Hollywood
softball
pitches.
pitches.
Yeah.
Like you kick your leg up high and you kind of throw it at the camera, and that's all that
Yeah.
matters. You have to throw 3 real pitches, and most of the time he's supposed to miss the batting zone, so it's not like he has to throw good
No.
pitches.
They just got to fly everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. I feel like there is now a Major League 4 to be made about Charlie Sheen doing steroids to
No, now he
build his way up to Major League 4.
now he just does Tiger Blood.
Yeah,
and I
there's
would
that.
watch that movie. I would 100% watch.
gonna
that
be
movie
something
where Charlie
ridiculous.
Sheen does Tiger Blood.
It'll just end horribly. Blood clots everywhere.
I'm fine with it. He is an interesting man to watch go crazy.
Go crazy.
He don't mind if I do.
Give me the bat, Marge.
Do that.
Oh, baseball reference.
Oh, man.
That might be the name of the episode.
Give me the bat.
Give me the bat.
All right, I do have a question I need to ask you guys, though, as I often do. So the Human Centipede bills itself as 100% medically accurate. If that's the case, and if that's our baseline, how medically accurate is Fernando Tatis Jr.'s excuse for why he did steroids?
Wow, that's a good question. You turned it right. At the
You
end.
really turned that on its head. Oof. I mean, it is not a good excuse. And I think if you Google like about the drug itself, like clobazole, close to ball. I'm gonna have forever to like a hard time saying that drug. Every single medical professional is like, this is the most bunk answer ever.
Yeah. I mean,
to be fair though, when I was a med student though, I confused a lot of drugs because a lot of names are similar. Yeah. This is not one of those that you should be confusing.
There's and also there's no reason for him to take it, like all things. If you take everything at the face value of what it is, right? Because who knows
what happened?
But if you take everything as the face value is what's been released, there's no reason for him to take that med for that particular condition. So it kind of doesn't make very much sense.
So it's either he was telling a story, or doctors led him in the wrong direction.
So as a person who has like been a person who's had stuff happen to him in his life,
I'm glad you're a person.
But I mean, like, I've definitely opened up a medical cabinet looking for some cream to put on something and being like, I'll put this on and let's see what happens. But I'm also not a baseball player. Yeah. So like there has to be some like
accountability,
understanding that if this is your job, you got to be more careful. Also, I'm going to throw this out there as an invitation to the Padres. If you need someone to mind this young baseball player for a salary, I will do that. He will be in no more trouble.
He will slap drinks out of people's hands.
No, I'm just a reasonable guy. I know how to talk to people. I know how to approach them as adults and not talk down to them unless they are my friends. So like if that's what you need, I am more than willing to step up for a nominal fee to allow this guy to play some baseball and hit a few dingers for all of us to celebrate.
We are local San Diego Padres management.
Yeah.
Just letting you know that.
But I don't buy the excuse. I mean, again, this is like a maturity issue. Like you screwed up. I mean, I'm glad that you fessed up to it, but also it did require an appeal process before it got to this level too. So that makes it a little more frustrating.
But whatever.
Everybody appeals. Yeah.
I don't feel like, I get it. He's 23 with a ton of money. Of course he's going to do dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Also, I'm positive he didn't do this in a vacuum, right? Like,
no. There were other people that
he
definitely
had to acquire it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
someone put it in his medicine cabinet.
Yeah.
Or gave him.
I also assume that this isn't the only team where things like this happen.
Yeah.
It's just like
he just happened to have
got
to
popped.
pee in the cup.
Yeah.
He got popped. He got hot pee.
You got that hot pee.
He got that hot pee.
You got that hot pee.
Yeah. So I don't buy that excuse as much.
Real question though. The Human Centipede bills itself as 100% medically accurate. If that's the case, and if that's our baseline, how medically accurate is Major League?
I mean, from what we saw, some things were right, but I don't believe in the pitching issues. There's gasoline whirlpool is a bad idea. Everyone's dipping. It's hard.
Dipping's accurate.
Dipping is accurate.
I mean, so I would say it's like a 210%. I don't remember what we said Human Centipede actually was.
We didn't ask the question yet because we
watched it.
We watched it.
Oh,
we never actually rated it for medical accuracy.
Oh
my gosh, we need to do a
Human Centipede bills itself as 100% medically accurate.
We never rated
but
it.
It's not.
Yeah,
no.
It's less than 100%.
Correct.
So I'm saying this is like 100% accurate because like baseball is racist. Sports in general are pretty racist. People did chew back in the 80s. Like everything that's in this happened. It's just this is kind of a lighter side of it.
What about
this
the
is
medical
like a
bits?
Mad Magazine lighter side of
But
baseball.
medical bits wise?
Yeah, what about medical bits
But
wise?
there's not a lot of medical, and so like people are hurt.
Yep.
People are upset that they're not getting the proper training equipment so that they can't be
that
hurt.
one guy's
So they do
knees blew
steroids.
out.
That one guy. But like all of that stuff is accurate and none of it is overblown to the sense of like egregious, like, oh, that wouldn't happen. Like, no, that guy wouldn't be able to run very good. Also, the super fast guy isn't going to steal every base.
No.
Like, I mean, it feels as accurate as anything else. Also, it wasn't trying to say anything about medicine, which is probably why it's medically
We were just trying to say something about baseball this week.
Right.
I'd say so. You say 200 because it's 100% more
I
accurate.
said 220
Because numbers are great.
No, because I don't think Human Centipede is 100% accurate.
Right.
I think Human Centipede is less than that. I think it's around 70%. And I'm willing to say then this is...
I'll say 150 because it'll be twice as accurate as the Human Centipede.
Yeah, but the Human Centipede isn't 100%. I want to use 100% as my baseline.
So then 200.
I don't know how this works. Look, I got half of 70 is 35, okay?
He had his one math this week.
I'll say 150.
150.
Yeah.
And 220?
I'm going to stick with it even if the math is wrong.
I like it.
Close enough.
Anything else that we want to add as far as our wonderful baseball discussion this week?
Look at your drugs before you use them. It's a good rule of thumb in general.
Yeah, if you have a job where you're going to get drug tested, like, don't do drugs.
Read the label.
I mean, don't like, or make sure a doctor wrote you a prescription, because then you can be with this doctor.
Accredited doctor.
Hi, everybody.
Someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's also bad.
That's just also, if you have a medicine, you can Google it and double check.
Yeah, but if your job depends on it, really just be careful what you put in your body.
When I first did our fellowship training for hospice and palliative medicine, we were in Colorado. It was the year that Colorado legalized marijuana, and they were sort of celebrating it, knowing that it's what Colorado wanted, and also knowing that it would bring money into the community. And so as we're getting our orientation address, they sat us down and they're like, yes, you are correct. Colorado just legalized marijuana and THC, but it's not legal for you, right? So my job, I can't do it.
Mine too.
Right. And so you have to know that. And your excuse is not like, oh, I didn't know it was in there. I mean, if you get caught, then you get caught.
Mm-hmm. I remembered when I used to work for a large HMO group here in Southern California, that was the first thing they did was drug test us. Yeah. And I remember friends texting me going, how do I beat the drug test? I'm like, don't do drugs. I will say, I had one kid who I was drug testing, and he thought he could fool us. So he scooped out toilet water and squirted a pump of soap in and shook it up so it looked frothy, and then gave it to us. I'm like,
why is your pee 30%
soap?
degrees?
Yeah, why is this so cold? But it got to the point where my nurse actually unscrewed it and was like sniffing it a little bit. It's like, that's soap.
Did they test for diabetes?
We did not. No,
did you test for Palmolive?
We should have. So then we actually had to send someone to stand there and watch him pee. And he was very insulted that we were going to watch him pee.
There's nothing like a person who is willing to lie about stuff to be the most angry that you're catching them in a lie.
Yeah.
Like, the reason why we're watching you pee is because
you
last
broke my
time
trust.
you put soap and water in a bottle and handed it to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't even yellow soap.
Right. Like, you didn't even really...
It was pink.
It was super clear.
You think I'm that dumb that you thought...
I actually said that. I'm like, do you think I'm this stupid? This is soap and water. Thank you for washing your hands, I guess. But that cup was so wet, like on the outside. I'm like, this better be just toilet water. Thank God it was.
There's nothing like waiting for a drug test that you might not have passed.
He failed that test pretty good. He lit up everything.
Including soap.
Especially soap.
Especially soap.
Especially the lipid panel. Oh, man.
Sir, you have fat in your pee?
Oh, you have a bigger problem than the drug test you failed.
Correct.
You're dying.
Your kidneys have stopped working. And on that
note, thank you everyone for listening. You can find us on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Please write us a review if you're enjoying this. That's the best way, other than you telling your friends, for us to gain new listeners and have even more shows for you. So thanks everyone, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye everybody.